From the East Coast to the West Coast, we are everywhere true crime is. We are asking for the public's help. We are searching in the woods. We are doing what it takes here on the Bullhorn Betty channels to find answers to the most alarming cases we have been watching on the news. I can tell you personally that I have traveled this entire country seeking these answers and bringing that content right here to you here on the Bullhorn Betty channels and Bullhorn Betty crime stories. We are happy with the work that we've done. We brought many answers to the public, and we have defied mainstream media in our pursuit of the truth in these cases. We will continue to work. We will continue to fight for these victims, and we will continue to tell their stories here on my channels. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty brand of channels and the Coffee Club. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your support. And more importantly, thank you for allowing me to bring these victims' stories to each and every one of you, advocating for each of these victims. God bless you. God bless America. And more importantly, God bless our victims. Hey guys, Bullhorn Betty here. So today's topic is Sebastian Rogers. Lots are going on in this case with the 15-year-old autistic boy that vanished in Hendersonville, Tennessee. So this case has really taken a lot of twists and turns throughout this entire process. And while law enforcement is saying there is no evidence of foul play, it's definitely not being taken off the table. We're having a discussion about some of the things that are going on inside and around this case. Please check it out and let me know your thoughts at the end. God bless and have a wonderful Sunday. Anyways, we're going to be discussing, hey guys, it's nice to see you coming in. This is for Sebastian Rogers. Sebastian Rogers is a 15-year-old autistic boy that disappeared from Hendersonville, Tennessee, and hasn't been seen since. This case is just, it's really, oh, thank you, Jules. It's a really sad case because I think we were all hopeful that like our gut instincts weren't right. You know, we thought that he walked out the door. We thought that he was going to be easily found. It doesn't seem so. It just seems like there is a lot more going on with this case than meets the eye. The mom and the stepdad are adamant that, you know, he either walked out of the house or somebody took him. You know, a lot of the public opinion, including maybe some, without saying it, but I think Seth Rogers is starting to feel, at least at minimum, that there may be something more going on inside the home that may have led to the disappearance of his son, but I'm sure he does not know anything. You know, he's just holding out hope that somebody has him, that he's still alive, that he's still out there somewhere. We have to remember how long it has been since this child has walked out the door. This child walked out the door February 26th, allegedly. This is the same day Maddie Soto went missing. Maddie Soto was found within 2 days. Sebastian Rogers has not. There are a lot of content creators in the area. I'm listening that like one of them is, diving right now. We have a dive team that's out there in the area that is looking in areas, and they're telling them to like to go to Old Hickory Dam, and they're saying that they will go there once they wrap up. So there's a lot of hands on deck here, going through areas and trying to find any leads, any information to the whereabouts of Sebastian Rogers. We heard that there's a possibility that there was a flashlight, underwear, and socks found near the Texas Roadhouse. But I just want to caution everybody because, you know, things like that can really, you know, run wild. There might not be really any connection. If we learned anything about the Riley strain case, we learned there's a lot of homeless population literally everywhere. So when it comes to finding things like that, we really have to be very cautious and careful. There's ways for them to identify fairly quickly whether it belongs to the person. At least within 24 hours, we'll know if something is related. So I don't really think that whatever they found over there is related, but we don't know. Apparently, they they were called. Who's the dive team? I don't know. I think it's a bunch of volunteer divers, to be honest with you. I don't know who they are. I did hear like Narked Diver was going to be there, and I learned of him through the Riley Strain case. He was the one that was out there in the waters. But when he was out there in the waters, he had a team on that boat. So I have to imagine that it's several different teams. You know, when we do this stuff, like they're divers, so they probably have a lot of diver friends that go into the water, and they have like they collaborate with each other, but they all probably are independent. It's probably something like that because, in true crime, we all do the same thing. We're all independent, but we do collaborate with each other. I collaborate because I guess I gel the best with Chronicles of Olivia. So whenever I do collaborate, I love to collaborate with Chronicles of Olivia. But I do collaborate with other people and go out there and try to search and do whatever we need to do. Feet are needed on the ground. They're saying feet are needed on the ground. Anyone with cadaver dogs, please infer services. So if anybody's out there that sees this, that is watching this, if you guys have any type of assistance, if you guys have scent dogs, cadaver dogs, the ability to have boats, dive gear, if you search, if you have sonar equipment, a lot of different businesses could really utilize some of their products in these types of cases, and giving them a better platform to maybe advertise free of charge just by doing the right thing. So, for the corporations that are out there as well, you got a product out there that might help in these cases. Start letting people know about them so we can look into them and advocate for those things, because at the end of the day, it really is bringing these people home. And that's all we want to do. We want to utilize whatever platforms we can utilize to get the resources necessary out there to find the people that need to be found. So, thank you for watching my YouTube channel. Thank you so much. So we have a lot to go over. Many of you know that there is something fishy, and with the mom and the stepdad just really shutting down communications with Seth very early on in this case, with them getting nervous and running off and failing to help, and really just kind of, outside of, wanting to look and appear like going on all the, thank you, Tracy, going on all of the TV stations and YouTube channels and all this other stuff to advocate for Sebastian, other than going through the visual appearance of them doing anything and everything possible behind the scenes. They're telling everybody in front of the scenes, we're doing everything. We don't know where he is. We're going everywhere. We're going to Mississippi, everything. We're just looking for him anywhere and everywhere. That's what they're basically wanting the whole world to see. But behind the scenes, which is where the YouTube and content creators and investigative journalists and reporters and stuff live, in the behind the scenes. And so we're seeing what they're doing behind the scenes while everybody is looking at the news. And what they're doing behind the scenes is not helping. They're having their family following the volunteers around. I mean, there's just a lot of weird behavior that is not being said or told on mainstream media. I don't know why. I don't know why they're not really telling it. I don't know why they're not investigating that aspect of it, of why somebody would be following around volunteers and spying on them or ripping down signs. I bet you if they just did a little bit of work, boots on the ground, and I'm talking about the mainstream media, I think there's something going on here. I think there's something going on here, and for whatever reason, and God forgive me, but I feel like it's the Bauer Sox behind it, Like, they're the ones that are the closest there. We know about big whatever that guy is that Nina was talking about. And, it makes you wonder, are they like really orchestrating this devious, behind the scenes plan? Because nobody's seeing these people ripping these signs down. And I don't understand why anybody would rip a sign down of a missing boy. And furthermore, I'm not even sure why we're putting signs up when it's not even an updated photo of him. This is updated photos of Sebastian. Why aren't these being used? Why is a much earlier, photo being used? No one has consideration for this boy. Hold on, what does it say? Let me just a second. Too much negative behavior. No one has consideration for this boy. Yeah. But you know what? But the parents is even with outside influences, let's remove the outside influences a little bit, and let's just focus on the people that really do matter in this. Okay, let's remove the searchers, let's remove law enforcement, let's remove content creators, journalists, let's remove everybody from this. Let's just focus on the main people that need to be focused on. We have a young boy that's missing. We have a young boy that has been missing for a significant amount of times, despite the pointing the fingers, despite what the reasons are. A young boy is missing and has been missing for a significant amount of time. And I want you to just think about the parents' behavior. Everything else aside, what is that screaming to you? What does that tell you as a human being? Just that alone. Not, if this child, just think about it. If this child walked out of his house and was lost out there somewhere, and he's an autistic boy, and mom knows that they did nothing in that house. Nothing happened in that house. Something happened to her son. Why isn't she out there literally combing through the woods in and around her home? Just something like that. She didn't do it, guys. But why? At Yogi Bear, they have cameras everywhere. Footage from there, Ellie does. So I guess, camera footage there. Oh, and that's another thing. Yeah, that's another thing I was going to tell you is, there are people that are still, not even law enforcement, just, concerned citizens are keeping them under surveillance, period. I don't know who they are, but they're driving around. This is coming from multiple sources. This is not from one particular creator or one particular angle or dropped by one particular person. This is people that are all over the community that are putting stuff like this in a Facebook group that happen to be in there. I mean, this could very well be somebody that's actually camping inside that campground. We don't know. So it appears, but the one thing I noticed in the most recent photo here of the campground and, knowing where they're at, like, why didn't they just stay home? This looks just horrible. Like, why didn't they just stay home? I digress. Katie's vehicle isn't there. So they're out and about somewhere this Sunday. I wonder where they're at. Hopefully they're at church. They need God, in my opinion. Just my opinion, just throwing it out there. Just saying. I went to church this morning. I do an online church with my YouTube group. And I enjoy every bit of it. And today was a great message. It was about anger and about I've been angry over this case. It was about identifying the anger and finding a way to put that anger to use in positive ways. And by God, I heard the message. I did hear the message. I heard it loud and clear. And I think I need to take my anger and put it towards something positive and meaningful. And I can't imagine anything more positive and meaningful than peppering this beautiful boy's face every place I can possibly pepper it. And so I'm going to end up doing that. And I'm upset. But outside of this, if they're still there, I'm sorry. We're putting a huge ass banner. We're putting a huge banner up, okay? And I'm talking huge, okay? I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm putting it up. I don't know how long it's going to be there. But I'm telling you, they're going to wake up every single morning looking at that boy's face. And if I've got to put it up and take it down, guess what? Bullhorn Betty's bringing some post hole diggers and a grass packer. I don't want to leave any evidence that I post hole dig. So I know how to do it. Okay. I did work in the yard before. Okay. I know how to make the hole, pull the grass plug up, pull the hole, pack it back down and put the plug back on. Okay. I know how to do it. I got this. But you know what? If they're still there when I get there on the 20th, they're going to be waking up to their beautiful son's face. They're going to be waking up to his beautiful face. They sure are. They're going to be waking up. Rise and shine, baby. We got a boy to look for today. Maybe that's what I'll ask them. We got a boy to look for today. You going to come out and help me search today? Maybe that's what I'll ask them. Have a great day. I'll still be here searching. Should I report to you? Would you like to know? Do you care? Asking for a few million friends over here. I don't know. I don't know. It's just really weird. Does anybody find it weird that they left and they hate the fact that they're like being followed by all these citizens? Like, you would think that they would have just, if they would have just Brian Laundry parents, like just went in their house, went out, got a month's worth of food, and just went in their house and just ignored the world for a while. Like, why would you put yourself in a more of a peculiar position, like running away? Like, I don't know how they thought that this was going to look very well. But you know what? When it comes to law enforcement, they don't care about appearance. They care about evidence, Here on social media, we care about both. We care about the PC part of it, right? We also care about not the PC, PR part of it, the public relations part of it. We also care about the detective work that needs to go along with it too. But, we're the first to say something smells to high heaven. So I did learn that there is, so this right here is starting to make headways, and I don't know if this post really holds water or not. I kind of hit on it yesterday. This is the post related to somebody seeing a SUV, okay? This is an SUV around 5:45 in the morning on the 26th. And it was on the side of the road by a country store, and it was near or on the way to Sebastian's school. And many people that have now seen, because the Bowersox, this is Chris Proudfoot's mother and his stepfather, they've been debuted on a lot of photos and videos that have plagued some of these Find Sebastian groups, because they were tracking down reporters and other, content creators or YouTubers, TikTokers, whatever you want to call them. They were tracking them down and basically harassing them, while they were on a public street, not really doing anything to the Bowersox. The Bowersox were actually leaving and following them and literally stopping and harassing them. And so we got to see what their SUV looked like, and we got to see who they were. Well, it wasn't very much longer after that somebody started talking about Chris' mother's SUV and how she swore she thought she saw it parked at this particular area at a very ridiculous time in the morning. I can't read your head. Okay, so I was going to read it for you anyways, but I was. And it says, I probably have a missing piece of the puzzle. On the 26th, around 5:45 in the morning, there was an SUV parked on the side of the road right past the country store on Hope Road. There we go. I cannot 100% swear on the Bible, but the SUV looks just like Chris Proudfoot's mother's SUV. But if it is her vehicle, then the time adds up to when Sebastian's mother was about to drive to school to look for him. I can almost bet my life she met her up there and gave him to her. I think she might have given her some evidence, but I'm not sure. We'll see. I've done some asking around and found the landowner's information, and they just happen to have trail cameras on a few of them right in that area. So this lady said in the morning she was going to get the cards and she was going to go through them to see if, basically what she thinks holds water. So there is some things that aren't making sense. Now, my mods did send this to me, and we had a discussion on it, and some of them felt that at the time that this could be trolls. It does happen in these Facebook groups. Don't ask me why this happens, but, I'm sure everybody that's on social media knows what I'm talking about. And they make stuff up. But this just didn't feel like it was made up, because a few things, the swearing on the Bible, they were letting you know that they can't 100%, state on this. And that's usually a truthful statement, because most people are convincing. They're trying to convince you of something. So this person didn't seem like they were trying to convince anybody. They were just trying to make people aware. And then there is video footage, so they will be able to say yes. Yes or no, so there's something that we're expecting this person to come back and say that they've looked at the video. The one thing I did find out is also in this group, now I don't know if it's associated with this or not, but there are a few people on the ground, and in a particular Facebook group, this one here, I think it's this one here, there was somebody that said that they had a credible lead. Now, I don't know what that credible lead, but it was a credible lead of a sighting, of a potential sighting of Sebastian on the 26th. And if this is the case, this would be huge. That post was posted like 2 or 3 hours ago. I did go back and check to see if there was any update on it. And by the time I started this live, there was not an update on it. Now, let me see if there's a possibility. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can go in there now. Maybe I've been on here for a little moment. Maybe there might be an update on it now. Oh, this is another thing. Holy crap. I can't believe. I'm glad I opened this phone. Another thing that we have about this case, remember when the case first opened, he walked out, we had the dogs out there, and everybody was really peculiar about how the dogs did not hit on the scent, right? Everybody was freaking out. Even some of the 20 and 30-year-old or 30-year experienced searchers were like, we've never had an experience like this. You know, we usually find something. Remember those statements? We usually find something. And then they stopped interviewing those searchers because they scaled back the searches because they weren't finding anything. So anyways, we were told, or at least alleged, and I don't know who put this out there on social media because I'm trying to source it and I can't find it. It was so long ago, and so many posts and comments have been made on this since that time. But there was a point in time somebody was saying that it had rained and that was most likely the reason why there was no scent or no the dogs couldn't pick it up. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. He was barefoot. You know, you're talking about barefoot on hard surfaces. You're talking about skin cells being left on cement. You're talking about stuff that we can't see being left behind, that it's going to take a massive amount of water to wash away. You know, it doesn't instantly wash away. I mean, how bad was this horrible storm? And so I'm sitting there thinking, you know, is it possible? Well, I guess anything's possible. You know, truth is stranger than fiction. We all believe that. And so somebody was doing some really digging into the weather, you know, and I like this stuff because this is stuff that I don't really, really look into as much. You know, I'm heavy looking into because I search. So I'm looking more into the maps, looking more into elevation, looking more in probabilities of where places would be to hide evidence or hide a person or something of those levels. But I'm not really focused on the, the weather and stuff like that. But the weather does play a key role in this case because they couldn't find a scent. So I thought I would read this to you guys, and it kind of perked my curiosity, and it might perk yours too. Okay. And I wish I could put it up, but I can't. It's a message from somebody. I don't want to identify the person. Well, actually, I don't know if they would mind being identified. They maybe would mind. I'll identify them by their first name. A beautiful lady by the name of Katrina. Seen a post I can't find now, which is questioning the temps in the area the night he went missing, but forgot what group it was posted in. So I thought I'd share what I looked up. According to weather.com, it was pretty warm that day, but they had a temperature drop by night. So it was 30 degrees as shown here. I had always heard it said that 30-ish degrees, but recently it's been posted that it was in the mid-50s during the time in question. I did try to pull up a detailed view of the by hour, but couldn't seem to find how to do that when I was looking back on the previous date. It's probably going by date as of midnight. So the temperatures for the 25th are going to show from midnight when the date turned to the 25th. So what we should be looking for is the weather from midnight on the 26th to 6 a.m. So I looked up another website showing an hourly temperature gap on the 26th starting at 12 a.m. Look, as though the temps did rise, though a wee hours of morning after midnight, a spike of 62 degrees at 2:53 a.m., when it dropped a bit to 53 just before 6 a.m. when Katie said she went to wake up Sebastian. So if he left there barefoot, it would still have been cold to the bare feet, but not freezing temps like was originally reported. Probably damp in the grass due to dew falling on the grass, but it also tells us dogs should have picked up scent in 50 degree and above. Also added the pictures of the graphics of the precipitation and wind that morning. No precipitation. It did not rain, but it was very windy. And I have to be honest, they gave the lady gave graphs. She put the link for weather. She put the screenshots in there. She pled her case. And she put the receipts to back it up, including the gap right around 3 a.m. Can you guys see that? Including that big spike around 3 a.m. And somebody says it doesn't matter if it rains, can get scents for months. Actually, Danielle, that's I did a whole believe it or not, I thought that too. And they can pick up scent. It's just I did a whole series on scent dogs, different type of dogs, and they're not cross-trained. A lot of people are misled thinking that these dogs are cross-trained. They're not cross-trained. Some of them can be, but most of them are not. They're designated for that specific, like cadaver or scent or water or bomb or drug. It's usually I think the drug and the bomb one I think may go together. I can't remember, but either way. It's environmental, and there are some elements that can dilute the scent. Also, weather can push the scent. And you are right, it shouldn't matter because scent does last for months, and that's what I was saying. Now they may have been going in the wrong direction, but they should have still been able to pick up the scent. And what I remember is it seems like I'm very confused as to whether Katie picks up and drops off Sebastian at school or at the bus stop. It seems to me with it only being a half mile away from their house or whatever it is, I think it's less than a mile away from their house, I think he would have to walk to school. So I'm under the impression she drives him to school and picks him up from school. So for them not to even have a scent around the house almost implies he really doesn't go out of the house much. If you wanted me to ask, because like you said, there should be scent, maybe going in different directions, but there should be scent. But the environmental does move that scent around. So even though we would expect it to be in one place, it might be in another. Which is probably what you meant anyways. I mean, I don't know. Danielle, I love you, by the way. I hope you're doing well. Happy Sunday. I can't believe forensic ain't did that. I know that it is bothering me, but you know what? See, they're not going to. I know enough about law enforcement that they're not going to go in that house for forensic testing without a court order, without a search warrant. They're not going to do it. They will never, ever, ever go in a house for forensics with permission from a homeowner. They just will not do it. There's a lot of reasons, but it really is a CYA type of reason, a cover your ass reason. It's because at any time, if they don't check the I's and dot the T's, if something later down the road, if they find something and that is thrown out, they're screwed because they didn't have that court order. So they're never, ever, ever going to do it. It has always been my understanding they will, until they get probable cause to get in that house to do the forensic testing, they will not do it. So that's the problem I think we're having right now. And we're hearing law enforcement saying we have no evidence of foul play. Not that it's off the table. Not that they're not looking at foul play. They have to have evidence. They can't even get a search warrant for squat without a scintilla of evidence. And right now, I think their biggest evidence in this case right now is no evidence. I really do. I think like their biggest piece of evidence in this case is the absolute lack of evidence. The absolute lack of anything that corroborates the stories that they've been saying, him walking out of the house. There's no videos of him anywhere. Anywhere. There's no shadows moving. All all we get is these light things that they're trying to say that behind the house, it was a dump truck. And I'm questioning that because, to be honest with you, I'm looking behind the house and I don't see any area where a dump truck can drive. But, I don't know. I'm not there. I can't see it with my eyes. 0.6 miles. Thank you. Yes, it explains. Yes, they explained to us how the dog tracked the scent. Yeah, some people are saying premeditated. I'm not quite there yet. You know why? Because when we're looking at who Christopher Proudfoot is, which is he's the one with all the scratches. Let's face it. I didn't see scratches all over, up and down the arms of Katie Proudfoot, and we've learned a lot about who Christopher Proudfoot is as a person. We've heard from Seth who Katie Proudfoot is as a woman, and while they're split up and they have a child together, and he's trying to be as respectful as he can at this time, and I think he's doing as good a job as can be expected at this point in time. She doesn't appear. I haven't heard Seth say that she's been violent or she, had violent tendencies toward him or anything of that nature. But we have heard that from Chris Proudfoot's perspective. He's the one that we're hearing does have this violent tendencies, that has, hurt other children of his other wives, that has abused his other wives. We see, Katie awfully shallow and taken back and not really just kind of numb. And it makes you kind of wonder, is she dealing with some battered wife syndrome herself? No matter what the reason, it's no excuse for her behavior. But we have to think that those things are going on. And as far as premeditation, it seems to me with Chris's arms the way they were, that it was more of an explosion, like he just erupted. Like something had just been chipped on his shoulder. And this particular day, something happened and it was a rage. I don't know why I have that feeling of that. And I think it's because of who we're seeing that Chris is, the markings on his arms, and the fact that, Katie is, I don't know. But you know what? There's also a piece of me that believes that man snuck in his own house, and his wife is none the wiser, that he hated this child so much that he just wanted him out. He wanted him removed from the system. He did not want to have to ever deal with him again. He didn't just want him at Seth's house to continue. He didn't want him at the house. Even being at Seth's, his wife was still going to get him nights and weekends, or weekends and summer vacation. This man did not want this boy around his house anymore. He did not want this child in or around him. And even with the custody arrangements, he was still going to have to see this boy. I think that, and the only person that we've heard, now this is allegedly, and some people have corrected me because we haven't heard it from a police officer. The only people we heard it from are the people that we believe are lying to us about everything. And that is Katie Proudfoot and Chris Proudfoot. And they're the ones that said that they all took a polygraph and all passed. And then we learned on Nancy Grace that none of them took a polygraph except Katie Proudfoot, and that she passed. So I don't know if she passed, because in all fairness, my audience has reminded me the only people that have told us that they have passed are the people that we think have done something to this child. So it's, and I had to look at that and say, you know what, you're right. And law enforcement wouldn't have arrested her if she didn't fail her polygraph, because they still need evidence. That's not evidence. It's not even admissible in a court of law. So who would have told us that she didn't pass? Law enforcement hasn't said one way or another. As a matter of fact, they've been adamant to make sure they tamper down people's minds on looking at anybody at this moment, because they have no evidence of foul play at this moment. But they're looking at it because they can't help but to look at it. Things aren't adding up. But I think their biggest, in my opinion, the biggest key piece of evidence in this case to scream foul play is the lack of evidence. And some people are saying she did. she did pass. So thank you. So, I mean, if we did apply that MB, that she did actually pass, then we'd have to think that Chris is the one that has the scratches. Chris is the one that's resistant to the polygraph. He's having to take it now. But he was resistant to giving us his timeline. He's the one with all the markings on him. He's the one with the motive, right? He's the only one that seemed to have a chip on his shoulder about Sebastian. He's the only one that absolutely did not want that kid around at all. He was the only one. And so if she passed her polygraph test, we have to believe she had no knowledge. That means that son of a gun snuck in his own house and did this. And might explain why she was on the phone with him for 3 hours. Everybody thinking it was a setup. Maybe it was him monitoring her so he knew when to go into the house. I'm sorry. Chris is screaming red flags to me. Out of everybody in this, Chris. Everybody's gravitating toward Chris. It's not like I'm alone in this. Do they tell them if they pass? I think they do. Because they would, you would think that they would have to. You would think that they would have to. But you know what? They may have told, but we've watched the first 48 hours. And there's been times we saw those backroom conversations, where somebody didn't pass their polygraph test, but they said, well, they weighed their options back there. They talked, there was like a group of 5 or 6 people, and they discussed, what the benefits or the stuff of telling the person one way or another. And I don't even remember if they went in there and told him whether he passed or failed, but they let him go. So I don't know, about that. I can't remember how that went. I may have to go back. I need to, and you know what? It's been years since I watched the first 48. Maybe I need to go back and start watching some of those. I love that first 48. You want to talk about some behind the scenes, good police documentary. That's good stuff right there. That's good stuff. They shouldn't say she passed or failed to the public. Also, police can manipulate wording. Yeah, and that's true. One of the biggest problems with polygraph test and having an improper polygraph test is the wording of the examiner. They have to be very short and concise and sweet questions. You can't overcomplicate questions. Were you at your home on February 26th? Was Sebastian at the home with you? Was there anybody else in the home with you? Did you hurt Sebastian the night of February 26th? Do you know who hurt Sebastian the night of February 26th? Do you have any knowledge of any events surrounding Sebastian's whereabouts? You have to ask very, very specific, uncomplicated, one question. I've heard some polygraph people just overcomplicate it. Like it's almost a paragraph, the question that they ask. And it's like, what is your actual question there? Because then the examiner's thinking it's one question, the person answering it thinks it's another question, and they're failing. Do you know where Sebastian is? That's the question. Yeah, exactly. But you know what? If she didn't leave, but even that question, there has to be more to it than that, because that question, if she had knowledge, but Chris took Sebastian out and put him somewhere, then she would have no knowledge where he's at. And she could honestly say she has no knowledge where he's at. Can you believe? Oh, I did read it. So I'll read it again for all the new people in the chat. So what it says here, oh, thank you, Curvilicious. What it says here is, I probably have the missing piece to the puzzle. On the 26th, around 5:45 in the morning, there was an SUV parked on the side of the road right past the country store on New Hope Road. I cannot 100% swear on the Bible, but the SUV looks just like Chris Proudfoot's mother's SUV. But if it is her vehicle, then the time adds up to when Sebastian's mother was about to drive to the school and look for him. I can almost bet my life she met up with her and gave him to her. I done asked around and found the landowner's information. They just happened to have trail cameras a few of them right in that area. So this person was going to go in the morning and pull those cards and check on those trail cam footage to see if she can find it. But we did have a post not too long ago, a couple hours ago, in this very group that where one of the it's a content creator, YouTuber that's out there that said they have credible lead or tip that they're going to check out. And that was 2 hours ago. So I went in there to look to see if there was any update on it. I did not see an update. When I read this the first time on this channel, I went and looked at it to see if there was any update, and I did not see an update. So I'll just look again and see if there's an update in that chat group and see if we have any information one way or another for as response to the information that we saw. It doesn't look like it because I don't see it highlighted here. No, I don't see any update. I don't see any update. I don't see any updates. So, all right, guys. Well, that's it. I hope you guys have an amazing day. We'll see you later, and God bless.